Hi, and welcome to Sound Off with System One. I'm Karen Callahan.
And I'm Allie Hayes.
And we're hoping that everybody enjoyed their Labor Day and that you are enjoying your last few days of summer.
In place of our typical Sound Off with System One live broadcast, we'll be sharing with you one of our previous episodes, how to find a job that fits your culture, inclusion, and diversity needs. So sit back and enjoy.
Hi, and thanks for joining our live event today. System One is happy that you could drop in. We'd like to know who's watching, so let us know in the comments section where you're joining from and if this is your first time participating in one of our live events. Today, we want to discuss hot jobs and some of the best ways you can tell if an organization is the ideal fit for your culture, inclusion, and diversity needs. The chances of finding your dream job by working with one of our experts vastly improves, so be sure to stay tuned for all of our expert tips. So I want to turn it over and let AJ start this discussion and really hone in on some of these important aspects that we know are very important to you. But AJ, what can you tell our audience about this vital aspect of a job seeker's journey?
Thanks again, Ruth. Pleasure to be here. So I would say many people want to have a sense of belonging of where they work. They want to feel heard by their managers and colleagues. Everyone can bring a unique perspective to the workplace. There are some organizations out there who do, I would say, have they pretend to have diversity and inclusion practices, but the real question is, do employees at that company really feel that they're being included in all of the workplace activities? Some of these tips that I've found helpful in finding an organization that has strong D&I initiatives would be to search for a culture or a diversity and inclusion page, usually on their About Us page of their website. This can give you a kind of a deep dive of what it actually truly is to work at that company. Make sure to review any company mission statements to see if they have any statements including about diversity, inclusion, or equity. Many organizations may actually have employee resource groups or ERGs as an acronym, focused on specific groups such as people of color and the LGBTQIA+ community. Does the company deliver actionable results? This could be in form of blog posts, social media, or news postings. Finally, does the company display bespoke employee photos, or are they using stock images? Sometimes you can do a reverse image search and find that it is from a paid website. You want to make sure that they're actually using their employees and showcasing what they're actually all about. So with that, here are a few visual highlights from our Team People DEI website and how we walk the talk. The first one is we incorporate pronouns in our Slack, Zoom, email correspondences. For example, my pronouns are he, him. Next, we actively recruit and attend events that connect us with diverse talent and production companies. An event we hosted recently was a social storytelling through photography webinar, which showcased our employees and their work. Doing what we can to support our growth and development of our employees, we have our employees complete LinkedIn courses on diversity and inclusion for managers, and building a more equitable and inclusive workplace. Finally, we are working with our teams to encourage formal and self-certification for our LGBTQ+ owned, women-owned, veteran-owned, and minority-owned businesses so that we can formally track the inclusion of diverse independent contractors and vendors. Those are just some of the few ways that we are helping to make Team People a part of System One being a more diverse and inclusive workplace. Thanks.
That's a lot of great information, AJ. Thanks for sharing that. I know Team People does a great job in representing System One and the digital and creative space. So thanks for sharing those bits of information and tips for our audience. Allie, I know you have some additional information to continue the discussion and build on what AJ's already shared. What do you have to share really for our audience in terms of what Alta's doing, and then how job seekers can really continue to hone in on this information?
Yeah, absolutely. AJ, I think you touched on so many great points and things for candidates to look at on a company's website, and pages and different keywords to keep an eye out for to get a good feel as to a company's culture before going into an interview or before accepting an offer there. And I think you did kind of mention social media is another way that you can get a good feel for a company's culture, and more specifically LinkedIn, I think, is a great place to go and look at the company's page and see what content they're posting, and even look at the employees of that company and what they're posting and engaging with and saying about the company that they work for. And a very easy way to do that would be to look for a company hashtag that they use. I know for Alta, we use hashtag AltaIT on all of our posts. I encourage our employees to use it on theirs as well. You can easily go to that search bar and type in the hashtag and pull a nice long list of posts and content that you can just take some time to read through and get a sense as to the culture that company does have. And then I think a very simple way to do it, again, would just be to get it directly from the source. And during an interview, have a few questions that relate to company culture. You know, what training opportunities do you have in place for your employees? What organizations do you support or volunteer with? What groups are available for employees to join and participate in that are outside of just their general scope of work? So I think there are so many great opportunities and ways that candidates can, during their job search process, look into a company's culture a little bit more, because it is such a huge part of your work life. Job satisfaction, collaboration, inclusivity are big key elements, I think, in a positive work culture, and being able to be in a role and in a position where you feel good about what you're doing, you feel like you are thriving and truly contributing to the success of your company is important. And I think ways to do that are making sure a company is providing the tools necessary to get there for their employees. And you don't always find that with companies. I know myself, I worked for a competing staffing firm before coming to Alta, and was in a position for a few months and really wasn't finding a lot of success and wasn't being given the tools that I needed to get there. And I inquired about a different opportunity within the organization, and they came to me and said, "We can't make this work for you, so take the rest of the day to update your resume, and we'll see if we can help you find a new role elsewhere." And I packed up my desk and I left, and fortunately fell into this opportunity with Alta very quickly, and was in a recruiting role for a few months. And then an internal opportunity actually presented itself, and it aligned more so with my skill set, with my interests. And so I expressed interest in that, went through the interview process, and that's the role I've been in now for the last 2.5 years. And even over that time, I've come up with some different ideas and have been fortunate enough to have a great leadership team that has worked with me to really make this role my own, and, you know, find ways where I can really feel successful and feel like I am contributing to the growth and the success that Alta is having. And making sure that you find and work for a company that is, you know, making sure those tools are easily accessible to all of their employees is very important. We have monthly trainings for our recruiting team, for our sales teams. We just started doing small group role plays where our recruiters can practice candidate conversations. Our account managers can practice cold calling and having a new meeting with a prospective client. And so when they are eventually in those situations and scenarios, they've already had somewhat of an experience. So I think making sure your company provides those tools is very important. And again, there are lots of easy ways to kind of learn about that culture and those tools there before you jump right into a company.
Thanks, Allie. Those are good examples and good ways that Alta IT is supporting their team, and good ways for candidates to really kind of hone in on how to find out if that kind of culture exists, both through some research on the front end and then even through the interview process. I want to send a quick shout out to Samuel Martinez. I thank you for joining and some of your comments here. I know we'll continue to check out some of the opportunities that we have through our career portal. And anybody else joining our live feed, we would love to know who's joining, where you're joining from, and any questions you might have for our panel today. We would love to be able to answer them live. If we don't get to any live questions, then we'll follow up, of course, after we've concluded today's event. But we really are here to help you through this process. So please drop us comments and let us know how we can help you, specifically as it relates to workplace culture, diversity, and inclusion. But anything else that we can help you with too, we want to know these questions that you have and how we can best help you as you're going through this process. I want to turn it over to Shnaz. I know she's got some expert advice to offer you too, and some examples of how she's seeing this play out with System 1. We've seen it with Team People. We've seen it with Alta, and some of just the layers within the System 1 brand. And want to encourage you to follow them and those organizations on social media so you can see that visually, because one of the things that we're saying to do is really follow and do the research on websites and social media pages. But want to give Shnaz the opportunity to tell you what she's experienced and how she is encouraging her candidates to find out information as they're going through their career and job search opportunities. So Shnaz, what words of wisdom do you have to share?
I don't know about words of wisdom. Thanks, Ruth. I wish, but I do have some firsthand experience. I'm half Iranian, half Korean. I have a crazy name, and that was a bit of a struggle growing up and early adulthood too. I'm fortunate now to be with System 1 where I forget that, and when I have to pronounce my name, it's a little different. But I'm very fortunate here that I don't feel it at all. I feel that my team is reflective of all my values, and their values there's a great alignment here. But breaking into a company can be difficult. We're talking a lot about how to get past an interview, how to vet the company. But for some individuals, getting an interview can be hard from a resume alone. That I ran into that. It's weird to be in staffing and I can do a great resume, but I never got a call back on a single resume. I always had to be referred in. That's a great avenue for some individuals, both vetting a company's diversity and inclusion practices and execution of those practices, as well as the teams you want to be a part of. I'd encourage you to piggyback off Allie, not just visit the LinkedIn company site, dive into the people in the organization in the specific roles you're targeting at the company. And you can get a pretty good idea of how diverse that team is and how this is going to impact your career long-term is huge, because a lot of those companies, they don't just have a global presence, but they're also on the cutting edge of innovations. And it makes sense that different backgrounds, different life experiences, different perspectives yield different problem-solving styles and work styles, and just is a great formula to drive progress. But always, you can even reach out to individuals on LinkedIn so you can get an idea of their team and maybe get around getting to the interview, getting around a resume-based review alone.
Thanks for sharing. I know that's a personal experience, and Charlie even is commenting and saying that he feels your pain with that. He'll be joining us next week as we discuss good interview questions for that first interview that people have. And it's also a good case to just really remind candidates that working with the System 1 recruiter is a good way to get that first interview and get people's foot in the door, so that you can get past some of these biases that might be occurring. But I also want to give the rest of our panel maybe an opportunity to share any additional words of wisdom, going back to that phrase, because you guys are really the experts that we're relying on. And I know from just a personal level, really enjoy your level of expertise and the things that you've offered to me as a professional. So I want to give you guys another opportunity to share maybe additional thoughts before we wrap this up.
Yeah, I would certainly love to share a little bit and then open up the floor to you all again to kind of share your thoughts and ideas on this. And I think another good important part of culture is that sense of belonging and of community. And I know we've all felt it. I'm sure our listeners have felt it as well. As over the last couple of years with COVID, you kind of lost a little bit of that, and losing that in-person camaraderie that you had in an office. If you're still remote now, or you're in a hybrid type model, you aren't able to go out to lunch with a coworker or pop your head over the cubicle and joke about something for a few minutes or talk about your upcoming weekend plans. And I think you've seen a lot of companies try to get a little creative and find ways to make sure there's still that camaraderie and socialization between all of the employees, which is so important to a company's culture. And I know Alta, we've implemented a few things. We've done a spirit week where we had a few fun activities for our groups. We had some themed dress up days, and it was a lot of fun interacting with our teammates. And we have a blog group that meets every month to write and publish blogs for the Alta website and social media pages, and a giving back committee to plan volunteer events. And we're in the works in planning a book club to read through and discuss some professional development type books. And they're just great opportunities that we've had where for 20 out of the 30 minutes, you're focused on topic, getting the work done, and then maybe 10 minutes or so veered off a little bit and getting to just socialize with your coworkers and learn about your teammates' sense of humor and their point of views on different things. And we've just had some great opportunities there. But I'd love to hear from you all. And if any listeners want to chime in the comment section, what groups would you maybe recommend a candidate look for when they are kind of vetting a company, or what groups do you all offer for your employees to kind of help with that sense of belonging?
Sure. So here at Team People, we have a few different groups that kind of foster that. First, we have a DEI committee, which I am a part of, and so again, one of the events that we held was the storytelling through photography with our employees. So that was a great great event that we had. We also are working on different ways to improve our hiring process and looking at that to be more inclusive in our applications and our language as well. We also have a fun committee, which is our employee engagement committee. So we have events such as actually recently we brought everybody in on site since we've been remote for 2+ years now, and we're able to see everyone in person. I'm gonna say touch them appropriately and give hugs and make to feel the love that we've been kind of sending over the internet lines for the past few years. We also have a program called Team People Gives, which we select local charities and national charities that we can help by via either our team volunteering, or we will donate money at the end of the year to support specific areas in the AV and production industries.
That's awesome. Ruth, is there anything you could share kind of that System One does?
System One on a corporate scale does a lot of big projects, and then in different locations. Again, we operate across the United States, Canada, and United Kingdom. So different offices do have different projects that we get involved in. That we did a big project from the corporate headquarters for the Pittsburgh Children's Hospital recently. So that's just one example. We're giving back to the community where our headquarters are. And then locally, for our office where we're still remote for the most part, but we just do little things where it's good to hang out and no pressure. Once a month, let's just get together in a relaxed setting kind of environment where maybe people who aren't coming into the office for whatever health concerns or whatever still can do that virtually with some people that are coming in for happy hour kind of a thing, or some groups are doing like a fitness class together, a fitness challenge together. So with the larger scale, there's a variety of different ways that people can get involved and have some cultural types of experiences together. Sometimes it's just as easy as doing like a lunch together, or an icebreaker kind of activity that can still be done virtually, depending on what your local restrictions might be. Florida's a little bit more relaxed, and we can enjoy, or have been able to enjoy, some things for a little bit longer. I know Schnoz, while in Tampa, does things with other teams as well. I've seen their group do things together with other groups too. So maybe she wants to talk a little bit more about those kinds of experiences, just because it is about that personal relationship, and it's good one to have that. But then I think where the candidate experience, like where from a job seeker, where you really need to see it, Allie, it goes back to what is the organization doing to really display that. So it comes from engaging with it. Like AJ said, when you talk about it, make sure you're using real pictures about it. It's not bragging about it, but it is letting people know that you are culturally and community, and you have some community engagement. So Schnoz, what's one example of something that you've really enjoyed in the last few months that you can say culturally stood out to you?
I think the way we train our new hires, there's a pretty diverse training, and I think we teach, ask the question, don't make the assumption. We're calling calling people with resumes all day. We see a piece of paper. If we can't find them on LinkedIn, and that's not going to be indicative of who someone is or the skill sets they bring to the table. I think breaking through the assumption barrier and just asking the question. I'm very curious by nature, and it applies across the board. But for me, it's just always asking and not claiming to know something you don't, and seeing where that takes you and being open-minded.
That's another great example, and I can really speak to. I see Schnoz really working hand in hand with new hires that we have in the office, and really impacting the next generation of System 1 employees. So it's fun to watch her engage with them and really take a vested interest in our team so that we are successful. So shout out to I've already said it, but you guys are really a great team. So. I think we're at a good point to wrap up. I know we can continue this conversation for a long time because we're all so passionate about it. But I do appreciate you guys, ladies, and your time today. I thank you for just communicating with our audience and sharing corporately what you're doing at your individual, organizations and businesses and offices, and just making sure that we're setting the best foot forward, and then just sharing with our audience your personal experiences too. So taking it from the corporate level down to the personal. So thank you for taking the time to do this today, guys. If you're watching, be sure you connect with all these people. They're fantastic. They're doing the right things, and they're here for you. So they'd love to help you on your career journey as well. Next week, we're back again every Thursday, 2 p.m. We're here for you, sharing hot jobs, career advice, the latest news in the industry. Next week, we're going to be talking about the best questions that you as a job seeker, as a candidate going into an interview can ask as you go into that interview, so that you come across as an expert, as inquisitive, as knowledgeable, and ready to go from the first interview to the second interview with the hiring manager. So be sure to tune in next week. Again, that's Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We look forward to seeing you then.